Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today's video is another CGC graded comic book video. For those of you that do not collect action figures and only collect comics, I'm trying to make my comic videos only on Sunday, so you can ignore my other content and just show up on Sunday for recent sales on eBay for CGC graded books. And today we're going to look at not only the Bronze Age, not only the Copper Age, but also a few modern books as well. All of these are recent sales. I just try to keep people updated on interesting sales on eBay for those of you that collect this stuff. So let's start off with a few Star Wars books, and then we'll move over to some other books. So I've got several different Star Wars #1s that sold in different grades. We had a 9.4 with white pages that sold for $4.25. And this seller, All Things Comic Shop, is somebody I have bought from. Very good seller, very good seller. And the same seller had a bunch of different copies available. So they had a 9.6 with white pages that sold for $868 in an auction, which is down a little bit. It was kind of going about $900 for a 9.6 with white pages. So $868 in an auction versus $425 for the 9.4. The 9.8. This was a different seller up in Canada who I've actually also bought from and been very happy with. This one was a nice looking copy. Nice looking copy, 9.8 white pages, freshly graded, a little bit of an overwrap, but it was an even overwrap on the left-hand side where the white border was showing. So it's just when it's a little uneven going top to bottom or bottom to top, it's where it can kind of detract from the price a little bit. But this one still sold at an auction for $25.50. So Star Wars #1 in a 9.8 with white pages has come down. You know, it was kind of going $2,800, $2,900 at the top end. Then it was like $27 and then $26. I've even seen some below $2,500 right now. So just depends on the copy and how clean it is. But that gives you a rough idea of where a 9.8 with white pages for Star Wars #1. Now, this was another modern book, but this is Heir to the Empire #1, and I wanted to show this one. And then I've got another one that's kind of related to Star Wars #1 we're going to talk about in a second. But Heir to the Empire #1, this is a direct edition, First Grand Admiral Thrawn. This one has also dropped like a rock. This one sold for $370. It was going $400 to $450 for the direct edition. And newsstands probably about double that, you know, safely $700 to $800, somewhere in that ballpark for a newsstand Heir to the Empire #1. But if you're just looking for the direct edition, now's a pretty good time to get it. It's fairly easy to find. There's lots of them out there in the 9.8 direct edition. So I feel like you can spend your money in worse ways than buying a 9.8 right now at $370. That's a pretty good deal. Now, here's the one I wanted to talk about. This was an interesting one. This one is Marvel Movie Showcase featuring Star Wars #1. This is from 1982. So this is 5 years after Star Wars #1 came out. So it's basically a reprint of sorts, where Marvel will showcase different movies and, you know, kind of reprint some comics. But the interesting thing is that this one, the last sale that happened was many moons ago, because there's only like, I think 30-something, 35-ish 9.8s with white pages for this book. The last sale was at $38.50. $38.50. Now this one, and admittedly it was a while ago, it was back during peak market conditions, right? COVID market conditions. But this one in auction sold for $567. So that's a pretty big price drop. It's really funny to look at the Go Collect price chart for it. It's like up here and then it just like drops like a rock, since this is kind of the new data point for Marvel Movie Showcase featuring Star Wars #1. It collects Star Wars A New Hope movie adaptation, part 1 of 1. I don't know why it says collects. It should just be like a reprint. But there are reprints also, so it's kind of confusing. But I just thought this was an interesting sale because there's just so few of them in a 9.8 on the census. But $567 is kind of the new number now for that one. Tales of Teen Titans #44. So this is the first appearance of Nightwing and the origin of Deathstroke. So it's kind of it's a very specific collector that likes this cover. I personally like it a lot. It's a George Perez cover, and I've got a signed copy coming up in a second, but it's one I've always wanted because I love Nightwing. I don't know what it is. I just like Nightwing a lot. I think he's cool. And this uniform for Nightwing leaves something to be desired, but you know, it definitely screams late 70s, early 80s with that outfit. And he's been updated over the years. the Arkham Asylum video games and Arkham City and all that. They did a really good job with Nightwing. I just think he's really cool. So this is a book I've always kind of wanted. And 98 white pages, direct edition. That one sold for $270. And then you compare it to this one, which was also a 98 white pages direct edition, but this one was signed by George Perez, rest in peace. And that one sold for $406. So, you know, not a huge premium for his signature, but there is definitely a premium there. And it's a very nice placement with silver marker, which does help a lot as well. But that was signed by George Perez, the cover artist. Batman 404, year one storyline begins, kind of the origin of Catwoman. Also, the first modern appearance of Catwoman. 1987 book. I still want to get this book in a newsstand at some point. I've got it in a direct edition. This one sold for $170. A little bit of an overwrap on the left-hand side, but that book also has come down. I just love this cover. Really great cover. Frank Miller's story also, and the year one Batman 404 is kind of a classic book, and just an interesting sale there. Some G.I. Joes. We had an off-white to white 9/8 newsstand edition for G.I. Joe #1, and this one sold for $12.22, which is actually maybe a little higher than I was expecting given the off-white to white page quality. I could see $1,200 for a white pager, but I was a little surprised this one went that high in an auction for an off-white to white. And I would say, even to me, in the current market environment, I would try to get the newsstand 9/8 white pages for G.I. Joe #1 sub $1,200, really $1,100, $1,200, in that ballpark if you can. But it does seem like this one's ticked up recently, given that an off-white to white 9/8 sold for $12.22. And then likewise, here's the direct edition, and I saw this best offer accepted. I was like, if someone paid $1,200 or anywhere close to that for the direct edition of G.I. Joe #1, admittedly a 9/8 with white pages, but this book has been going kind of $800 to $900. So I looked it up on 130 Point. This one sold, best offer accepted, $975, which I would even argue is still too high. I still think for a direct edition 9/8 white pages G.I. Joe #1, I would aim $850 to $900. That would be the target that I would personally aim for the direct edition. You're going to obviously pay a little bit more for the newsstand, but even at $975, I think that's a smidge too high. I would try to aim, again, $850 to $900. Transformers #1, this one sold for $1,200. This was the direct edition. That's up a little bit. This one I've seen this one sell in auctions and elsewhere for about $10.50 or so, in that ballpark. So $1,200. This was a buy it now situation. You're always going to pay a little bit more if you wait for an auction. For a nice clean copy, recently graded like this one with really nice colors. This is a book where the color strike can be very faded sometimes. So be patient and wait for one like this where it's got good color strike. And that's probably what happened, is that somebody was patiently waiting for one of these to come up in a 9/8 with good color strike, didn't want to wait for the auction, decided to pull the trigger and pay an extra $100 or $200 for it. So that's kind of what happened with this one, I think, because the color was really good on that one. Punisher Limited Series #1, another direct edition 9/8 white pages. That one sold for $600. To me, that one is an overpay as well. This one had what looked to be a pretty bad overwrap on the left-hand side of the book. I think if you're patient and wait for an auction, you can probably find that one $450 to $500 pretty easily. And that was kind of the last price that we've seen in these market updates, was about $450, $480, somewhere in that ballpark. So again, don't overpay at $600. That's a little bit too much to me. Some modern books I wanted to talk about. Whatever happened with Something is Killing the Children? What happened with that? I mean, we heard all of these rumors that Netflix bought the rights to it. It's a perfect thing for an episodic content, and it kind of is very similar to, maybe not similar, but it's got the same vibe as Stranger Things. And maybe they're just waiting for Stranger Things to wrap up the last season before they finally start filming this. But I think that Something is Killing the Children has a perfect episodic content type of storyline that it needs to be made into a miniseries of some sort, or a TV series on Netflix. So I hope they do it. This one is the hard to find second print. Really cool artistic cover, and even now, in a down market, this one's still sold at $350. So it shows you how in demand even the second print is. And then there was also a fifth printing, which I don't like this cover as much, but it is a fairly low print run relative to even the first print. So that one sold at $225. To me, the first print, the fifth printing is also a really good one that I like a lot. The second print really hits me too. I like that one a lot too. But I hope that Something is Killing the Children actually shows up. And now I got a really good contrast, but for Ultimate Fallout 4 in the first print in a 9.8. So here's the auction, and then we're going to take a look at a buy it now. And this is a good example of be patient for an auction for books that have a high 9.8 census count. All right. This one sold for $871, which is a pretty low price. To me, that's a buy it price right now. And maybe it keeps dropping. Maybe we do hit that $500 for this book that all the haters seem to think is going to happen. And that's fine if it does. I don't know if I really care either way. But the first print for Ultimate Fallout 4 is a book that if you like Miles Morales, you have to have it in your collection. I do not have the first print yet. I do want to get it at some point. It keeps dropping. I keep pushing it off because I'm not buying anything right now. But I do think that whenever I do pull the trigger, I'm okay at $871 personally. But you look at that one sold at $871, and then literally a day or two earlier, one sold at $1,100 for the exact same book. And this one even had that same issue that I've talked about in the past, where it's got that weird staple in the upper left-hand corner. Be careful. If you're going to buy an Ultimate Fallout 4 first print, watch out for this staple issue in the upper left-hand corner, because a lot of those copies do have that. This one did not. You can see how clean that staple is in the upper left, but a number of them do have this weird staple fold that causes it was a manufacturer's defect, so CGC does not ding it in terms of the grading. But from an aesthetics perspective, if you're going to be dropping $8 or $9 or $1,000 on a book, just get the cleanest copy possible, especially when there's thousands of them in a 9.8 right now. So don't overpay right now, and don't do a buy it now at $1,100. Just wait for the next auction. There's one every week for Ultimate Fallout 4 in a first print. Next up, we got a New Mutants 98. This one sold in an auction. This is kind of a new recent low. 9.8 white page direct edition for Deadpool's first appearance. That one sold at $807. $807. God, that is a low price. It does have the foot cut off for Domino, which is a common defect, but you know, at $807, I can deal with that. That's a pretty good deal right there. This had been going kind of $950 to $1,000, so that's a really good price. I've got a few Wolverine books, including one that I've been desperately wanting, but I didn't see it, thank God, because I probably would have bid on it. But this is Wolverine Limited Series number 1. This is a Signature Series 9.8 signed by Chris Claremont, Joe Rubenstein, Frank Miller, John Romita, and Stan Lee. And it had Stan Lee on there. Wow. This is a pretty, if you're into signature books, this has got literally all the main players. I mean, what an awesome book. 9.8 white pages, and that one sold at $14.87, which is about triple what a standard 9.8 goes for. $500 to $550 is what a standard 9.8 direct edition Wolverine Limited Series number 1 goes for. So obviously that just is because of all the signatures on there. I mean, Stan Lee's signature adds $400 or $500 alone. So awesome book. Also, we've got Incredible Hulk number 340 in a direct edition. This one's signed by Todd McFarlane. Again, the Todd McFarlane premium for signatures is incredible, given that this is probably about a $900 or $1,000 book max in a direct edition unsigned. $1,750 is what somebody paid for that. I would love to have one. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have one, but I'm not paying $1,750 for it, just given how easy it is to find Todd McFarlane's signature. Maybe I change my mind down the line, but some other Wolverine books. This is the one I really want to get. I don't know why, but I had this book growing up in a direct edition, and the storyline is awesome. The art is awesome. And this cover always spoke to me. I love this cover showing Silver Samurai and Wolverine going at it. And this is the harder to find newsstand. I've been wanting this newsstand in a 9.8 for a long time. And thank God I didn't see this auction, because I probably would have bid on it. This one sold for $267, which is about 2.5 times what a standard direct edition goes for in a 9.8. So great cover, though, for Wolverine number 2. Again, it's not a super key issue or first appearance, but it's a book that people love because of the cover. And the newsstand is a little bit harder to find. It's a late 80s book. So another one that is surprisingly expensive in a newsstand edition is Wolverine number 17. Great cover, John Byrne cover, but, you know, again, in a newsstand, it's a significant premium over what this goes for in a direct edition 9.8. This one sold in an auction for $985. That is a huge number. To me, if I'm going to spend $985, I'd rather spend 11 or 1200 bucks and get the newsstand for Wolverine Limited Series #1. Personally, that's my personal opinion. Is this one harder to find in a newsstand? Absolutely. Is it an awesome cover? Definitely. But to me, that kind of money is too much to me. I personally wouldn't spend that much on this book. It is a great looking cover though, but I'd be perfectly happy with a direct edition and not pay the whatever it is 3 times premium that someone paid for that one. Next up, Wolverine 88. This is another one I want to re-add to my collection. I had 2 of these in a 9.8, sold both of them right after Hugh Jackman was announced as Wolverine for the new Deadpool movie, and it's cratered. It's come way back down to earth. I sold both of my copies for between $600 and $700. Now it's going for $309. If it gets into that $250, $275 range, I'm probably a buyer. There's a lot of these in a 9.8. And this one is the standard edition, I believe. This is not the deluxe edition. It's the direct non-deluxe edition. So there's the deluxe edition that has deluxe in the upper left-hand corner, and then the standard edition just has a softer cover. It doesn't have the hard cover. So this one is actually a little bit harder to find in a 9.8 than the deluxe edition because the cover is much more prone to creases. But that one did sell at $309, not a terrible deal. Uncanny X-Men #142 is another book I'd like to get to pair with my newsstand 141. This was the direct edition, sold at $355 on 45 bids. Pretty good deal though at $355. That's a price I'd pay in a heartbeat. And that was really it. I think the rest of these were all just searches that I was doing to kind of prepare for this video. So I hope that you enjoyed this look at recent sales across the bronze, copper, as well as modern age of comics. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.